Let's bring in the blogger to the Nation and Daily Telegraph columnist Tim Blair. Tim, good to talk to you. I know you love the States. You know your way around the American Midwest culture. You must be due for another driving trip sometime soon. But I wanted to ask you about all the advertising campaigns in the beer world. You're probably not a Bud Light man. You're more of a bourbon bloke, I suppose, as you're driving around the US.
Well, not while I'm driving, but, but I certainly would be. And I've done what they call the bourbon trail throughout places like Tennessee and so on. But we've now got the. I mean, it's awful to be reminded of how tremendously old we're all becoming. Well, you know, I'm avoiding saying how old I've become, but I'm so old, Chris, that I remember when attractive women in bikinis were selling points for beer. That they would just, that was like, there were advertising agencies that actually got paid money to come up with that idea, and they do it every single year. And now that they've gone woke, they're still showing women in bikinis, but it's to heap shame on themselves for showing women in bikinis in the first place.
It's incredible. You mentioned the people who came up with those ads are now so rich that they own radio stations. But yeah. I thought you might like a bourbon, and you've done the bourbon trail. I can't compete with that. Yeah. So let's show some of these ads to talk people through it. This is Bud Light first up, going super woke with Dylan Mulvaney.
This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood, and Bud Light sent me possibly the best gift ever, a can with my face on it. Check out my Instagram story to see how you can enjoy March Madness with Bud Light and maybe win some money too. Love ya! Cheers!
Okay, so I mean, how woke do you want to go? They go for the transgender woman pushing their beer, and I think we've got a graphic here shows that their sales have just plummeted. It hasn't really worked for them. It hasn't hit their beer drinking market, and that's the old story of go woke, go broke. But then this other ad that you referred to has come from Miller Lite. Obviously, their competitors. Yeah. They've run an ad promoting Miller Lite, and they've used a biological woman, but shaming some of their old practices.
Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer ever. From Mesopotamia to the Middle Ages to colonial America, women were the ones doing the brewing. Centuries later, how did the industry pay homage to the founding mothers of beer? They put us in bikinis. Wow. Miller Lite has been scouring the internet for all this and buying it back so that they can turn it into good for women brewers. Literally, good
What a sneaky way to get a bikini shot on the TV, hey?
It's the only way you can do it these days. You've got to dismiss the evil bikini shot. But this ad utterly misses the market as well. If you're aiming for middle America, which is who they're trying to repair things with and who they're trying to reconnect with, you don't use casual profanity. You don't swear. You don't even bleep the swearing. That ad has like 7 or 8 mentions of, it's fairly conversational these days, but I'll refer to it as the S word throughout the ad. That alienates so many people in middle America, the Bible Belt. Beer drinking normal people will resent this ad. They'll find it confronting and weird and wrong. So yet again, beer companies, maybe go back to something you know something about and just make beer and put up ads with nice people. I don't know. There's got to be some sort of middle ground here.
Just quickly, I know you love to keep an eye on the former president of the Australian Republican movement, Peter Fitzsimons. Yes. He writes for the Nine Papers. We had Will Shackle, the teenage nuclear energy activist, on the program last night, and here's Fitzy's condescending tweet about him. On you for your passion, young man, as misplaced as it is. I stand to be corrected, but is nuclear energy not the most expensive to produce? Why do that when renewables are blooming and cheap? Take 10 years to build. Anyone out there who would welcome a big or a mini reactor nearby? Fitzsimons is just completely wrong. He's just mouthing Labor talking points. Doesn't the guy do any research himself?
Well, he's actually in an ideal position to have done some research. He did some. I mean, he was in France for a long time, as I understand it, playing some sort of game that did something to his mind. But if you're in France, you're never that far from a nuclear reactor. He's talking there about who wants to be nearby a scary reactor. France is loaded with them. It's lousy with them. He was there. Was he scared then? He's been back.
He was throwing a ball around, and he's been back for holidays in France. He doesn't mind their nuclear power. Well spotted, Tim Blair. Thanks for joining us, Tim Blair there. You can read his stuff via the blog through the Daily Telegraph or website.